Hey YouTube, nice to be back here on track. I failed a bit with my own schedule. As a fun fact, initially I've been considering should it be a good idea to release videos every day, at least during the week. Right now I see that I struggled to release video for a few weeks already. One of the aspects is the content, obviously, and while I was dreaming about releasing videos every day, how productive I will be, actually even I'm working a lot during the day, there is not always something interesting, something really worth to share here. But since I missed the last week, this week, today, I'm getting the double amount of updates. First things first, you probably noticed the microphone I'm using for recording the video. It is actually a set of microphones, 2 microphones and 1 receiver. And I've bought it a few years ago. I was using them really rarely. When I was preparing to start recording videos for this channel, I took out my set of Saramonic microphones, and I was really upset with the fact that this thing here, the screen on it was barely visible. So if I turn it on right now, I've just replaced it, so I see that, yeah, it's clearly visible, it's crystal clear. It is the way it should look like. So it upset me a lot, but the good thing, we have internet at our homes, we have YouTube. So within 20 minutes I found out the video with the same problem. Thank you very much, author, for sharing your solution. I reached Saramonic. Awesome support. So within an hour I was set with Saramonic support. They got my address, they got my details, and they reached me back to let me know that they are actually sending me out some screens so I could replace them. Now I have done the replacement myself, and it went good actually. It was not too hard for me. I found it always to be fun to dig, to make my hands dirty with hardware a bit, but just a bit, so I don't actually have too many occasions to break anything out. When I replaced the faulty screen, the one that was clearly faulty, that was barely readable, I found out that 2 other screens, because there are 2 microphones and 1 receiver, both are actually failing a bit, like, I don't know, let's say 20% less bright, right? So it was not too bad, but it was really different. It was looking really different. It was not such a crystal clear image there. So I actually replaced all the screens on all 3 units, and I'm really happy about it. It's now more readable. Even right now when I'm recording this, I can definitely see what's happening on my receiver. It's more bright right now. Probably it's worth a round of applause, probably not, but anyway, I like such approach, and I'm looking forward to meet more such open companies. It's not a big problem to make a mistake, but it's a problem when we do not admit that mistake and we do not try to repair the damage or get rid of the issues it caused. In the second part of this video, I would like to share about the bot itself, actually about the bot progress. Last week I had good progress with processing new images, let's call it that way. So actually I added functionality that allows to add new posts. So with Redis I can store sessions, and it survives all panics, all restarts, and everything that happens on the software I'm actually changing. So the storage itself, or the session itself, is decomposed, and it's not thrown away immediately the moment I'm restarting the bot server. This is a very convenient solution for me, so I can spend much less time on getting to the state I want, or to getting to the problem I'm facing or I'm finding right now, and I don't need to repeat the previous steps once over and over and over again, just to know that there is something still wrong, right? So I can just restart after the panic or after code changes, and I'm immediately in the same state where I was, so I can just send a message or image or whatever I'm doing at that moment, and it will pick it up at exactly this moment. This is really important for me. It's been always important to make it convenient for me to test things out. To point this out, it is always very important to have a positive path ready and fully prepared for your software when you are developing, and test it over and over. First of all, you start understanding what is actually happening there. You know what is going on there. You are actually using your software yourself once, twice, and many more times while you are developing. And this is great. Happy paths are something that must be tested and must work well as well. Obviously, there are some error handling features or some other paths that needs attention, definitely. Some context that might be dynamic and might change the way application or software acts. That's definitely something to be tested as well. But at least understanding the payloads, let's say, for network application, understanding the payloads and having a bunch of test data just to check that, okay, this payload is wrong, so I get the error, and this payload is correct, so I'm following the happy path, and it's, let's say, saved to database or printed out or whatever should happen. This is very important, and I've seen teams that was actually unable to do that, and it was, in my opinion, that was a disaster. It was definitely a disaster for me, because I could never be sure that our changes are working, that our application does what it needs. So just keep in mind that you might not think only about the features that business wants, but sometimes with a small amount of effort we can add something that is convenient for us developers to test it and actually to use the application. So that's a really cool trick. The other thing is that with this approach of having scenes and stages and accepting many different inputs, I mean one by one, it became obvious to me that it's necessary to keep the temporary data somewhere as well. So there is a session which is a state of the user right now, right? So the point in time in the application where the user is. But another thing is the data that is user working on, right? So let's say the user send us the name, and in another message user is supposed to send us his, I don't know, email, let's say, and that's and we need to somewhere keep it, and keep it for this specific user. So for now I implemented a pretty simple solution, but nevertheless it's based on Redis as well. So I'm keeping some temporal session or session data entity, let's say, in the Redis as well, in the separate database. So it's still fast and it's relatively small. And by the way, I finally had a chance to use GOB serialized struct, and it looks a bit silly when I access it in the Redis, but actually I don't care. Some data is still readable there, so it's the most efficient way to store it, so I took this approach for now. Oof, that's a lot, right? That's been a lot. With all the session and session data stuff, I made to a point when application bot is actually able to get all the information from the user it needs. So we need some persistent storage to keep this data, and we need some scheduler. And this was the actually work that I've done this week. So this week's update is about scheduler and about storing data in the database, in the persistent database. So I took a Postgres. There are just a bunch of tables right now. There are just 3 entities I have right now. I'm using Bun from Uptrace to simplify my work with database. So there are just a few entities right now, and Bun translates structs into the tables immediately, so I have less manual effort and have to spend less time on writing migrations, etc. Nevertheless, I found out it's not working the way it works, for example, in the Symfony in PHP, when everything is happening automatically. But on the other hand, it gives better control, a better granular control over the database, and it's not only better from the performance or security perspective, but it is also better, in my opinion, from the perspective of really understanding what is going on, what's happening there. So for now, I'm not playing around or messing around with some complex groups, admins, etc. It's pretty simple. If you have added the bot to the channel, okay, you're kind of owner of the channel because you was able to add the bot, and you can reach the bot and target him to the to post messages on your channel. So that's deadly simple.